everyone, and welcome to another episode of Leslie Said What. Oh my goodness, guys, this just keeps getting better and better. So, for those of you who are just joining us, guys, this has been a temporary, I thought it was going to be a temporary series for just a few weeks, but it has just kept growing and growing and growing. More and more people have come to my mind to bring on to hear their stories, and I just can't help it. So I just keep going. Hey, so why not, right? The best part about it is it's the show I created. So hey, I guess I'm my own boss in this situation, right? So we can just keep it going and keeping it going. But tonight we have an amazing guest, and guys, I'm super, super excited. And as always, if you are new or if you aren't aware of how this show works, you can join the conversation. That's how this works. Leslie said, what? So yeah, this show is about talking and discussing the things that you feel like, should be discussed, but it doesn't always get discussed. So yeah, all the limits are off when it comes to this show. Now, we're not going to be vulgar or anything like that, but we do want you guys to join the conversation. All right, we see somebody in the comments already. Well, hello, Michelle. What? I love you. So like I said, guys, always feel free to join the conversation. Tonight on the show, we're gonna have Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison. Oh my gosh. I met her this past summer at the LOLGCA conference, and guys, I'm telling you, I was blown. She was sharing her stories and my mouth was just wide open. So I'm so glad you guys get the opportunity to hear from her. So when my dear friend June brought it up that I should reach out to her, I'm like, oh, duh. Let's see if I can convince Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison to come on my show. Right? Because it is such an honor. So guys, for those of you who do not know, Dr. Traymore Morrison is the first Black female impressionist. And she's the first associate writer on Saturday Night Live, also, that was a Black female. And she can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure, but I think that's how he said it. But she's going to get on here and tell you guys all about it. Well, hello. I'm glad you love me too, Michelle. And hey, Tina. And yes, she is amazing, Michelle. Like, for real. Hey, Chris, glad you guys are all here. You guys have to listen to this. All right. So let me just stop talking, okay? And bring her on, okay? Because enough for me, right? You guys see me all the time. Without further ado, I want to bring out Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison.
Hello, Leslie.
Hi. I'm so glad you are here.
You have me all pumped up. Just your energy alone. I'm ready to go. What?
I am glad.
Leslie said what? Okay, cool. Yeah.
I'm so happy you're here. I'm telling you, it was such a pleasure to meet you this past summer. I'm telling you, I was just drinking it all in because nothing is like hearing it from the person who experienced the different things. Like sometimes I'll sit down with my great grandmother and my dad and my mom, and I'm just drinking it all in. I love hearing people's stories. Yeah. So I'm so glad that you are blessing us with your presence tonight and sharing your story.
Yeah. It's, actually, earlier today, I was watching a session I did on Howard University television, which aired last night. No, night before last. I forgot what night it was.
Anyway, it aired.
They took a whole big portion of my story and put it into one presentation, and it was wonderful. And I said, "Oh my God, how'd they do that?" And then I get to go on Leslie's show on Monday and give up some more information. So there you are. There you have it. Well, hi, Michelle. I wanted to say hi to Michelle.
Oh, yeah, Michelle. She says hi, Michelle. Yes. Oh, and hello, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us, Sister Becky. But yeah, so Dr. Morrison, talk to us. Tell us your story. We want to drink it all in.
Oh, you know what, Leslie? Here's the beauty of it is, and I've been doing this now for 53 years.
Wow.
Been doing comedy for 53 years. Clean comedy, too. How about that?
Look at that. Okay. It's possible.
Yeah. And I did my very first professional show, not show, but my very first professional show with a real stage and a real audience and a real setting in Washington, D.C., where I'm from. I grew up 12 blocks from the White House.
Okay.
And every time I say that, people go, "Oh, you didn't know." No, no, no. It was not what you think it was.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we were in the heart of the ghetto. The White House is like, I mean, it was surrounded by the ghetto, and the history behind it is fabulous because the reason why there were so many Black people in that area is because back during slavery, when the senators and the congressmen and all the big wheels would come to Washington, they would leave their help right near the White House so they wouldn't have to travel all the way from Maryland and Virginia, so they would leave their slaves and help and whatever right there. So when they died, they'd leave the properties to the Black people.
Wow.
Colored people. So we were just everywhere. And of course, the houses weren't like big, fabulous, beautiful mansions. They were little raggedy homes in DC. But that's what happened. So my family happened to have one of the houses that was 12 blocks from the White House. So I got through that. And
that's amazing, though.
Yeah, but people, today they say, "You did?" And I'm like, "I did, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't like you guys think it is."
Yeah.
And even as a kid, I used to wonder how that big old giant pretty White House was so big and no children lived there. We never saw kids come out to play. Because see, I could walk from my house to the corner. There was the most powerful house in the world right there.
Wow.
And so it was, yeah. So my very first professional show was in Washington, D.C. at a place called Constitution Hall. And they call it DAR Constitution Hall because DAR, D-A-R, stands for Daughters of the American Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
I'm giving and you know what? I never give this history. I never do because I most time forget about it because there's so much other stuff going down, coming up the road that I want to tell people about. And so I did my first show at DAR Constitution Hall in 1969.
Wow.
19, and wow. A lot of people go, "Wait a minute, I wasn't even born yet." No, right. Doing this for 53 years. And it's amazing because when I first realized that that's what I wanted to do, I couldn't make up my mind between singing and doing comedy because I was a singer at first. I could. So I figured there were so many, and you know what? When I do that, I think about you because I watch all of your video. I watch everything that you put online, and I just get so tickled. It's so much energy that I love what you do. So,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I watch it all. I watch you all the time, and I just.
Oh my gosh, I feel honored.
And I know it's an interview, but I gotta say this about you because I don't know how you come up with all that stuff. Oh, you come up with so much different stuff, and then you put it all together, and then you present it to the world, and everybody loves it, and then you move on to the next thing. And I'm like, look, I be like, Leslie said what? So,
exactly. That's what it all comes down to. I'm so random. You never know which way I'm going.
You never do, and that's what I think I love. As soon as I see your new post, I'm pressing to see it. So good for you.
So grateful. That is awesome. I appreciate it.
I simply love your energy. I really do. Here I am, like a little 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid trying to figure out how to get on national television. Because another thing, in those days we had 4 channels, and you rarely saw Black people on TV. If we saw, quote, a colored person, unquote, on TV, every Black neighborhood in the universe, I believe, would go, "It's a colored person on TV. It's a colored person on TV." We were so proud. We were just so happy to see that. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even know that female comics existed. Mm. And other than the fact that Moms Mabley, way before me, was a comedian, but she was the only person that I knew of at the time who did comedy. And so I left the singing because I said, no. A lot of people sing, but how many people can do this? How many people can do impressions? How many people? I was like the only one I could think of. And I had to figure out a way to get on television because at that time I was doing birthday parties, I was doing weddings, I was doing living rooms, I was doing front porches, backyards. there were no platforms for me as a comedian to
Wow.
show the world.
Right.
So I had to figure out a way to get on national TV. And I'm watching TV one day and I see the Flip Wilson show.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
yeah, so I see these 4 Black girls come out on the stage. They were absolutely gorgeous, big, pretty afros. And I said, I wonder how they got on TV. And they must have heard me because they said, well, we entered the Miss Black America contest because we couldn't enter the Miss America contest because rule number 7 said, in order for you to be a contestant in the Miss America pageant, you had to be Caucasian. So J. Morris Anderson created this pageant for Black women.
Oh,
And
cool.
so I said, well, what did they do? I wonder what they did to get on TV? And they heard me again. So they said, well, all you have to do is have some talent. I said, that's me. I can do that. I got it. And he said, answer a question. Yes, I can do that. And wear a bathing suit. And I said, oh, wait a minute. I weighed maybe 99 pounds at the time.
Oh, wow.
I don't know about that bathing suit stuff. Okay, if it means I can get on national TV, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, as I entered the pageant, there were like 140 women in the competition in my city alone. And so they narrowed it down to like 15. And to make a really wonderful long story short, I tied for first place with a girl by the name of Bernadette Stannis, who was Thelma from Good Times. Yeah.
Yes, Thelma from Good Times. Yes.
She actually that night got the card to go and audition for Good Times. And they sent me to Europe to entertain the American troops from the Vietnam War. Thousands and thousands and thousands. I'm telling you, Leslie, when I walked out on that stage and saw all those men, there was, women in there too, but I'm saying all eyes were directed. I'm like, oh, he's cute. That was,
You're like, hello, hi, Candy.
Exactly. And it was such a rare experience. And there was a guy back home that read about us in the newspapers and the magazines. And he said, who is this Black girl that's doing impressions? I've never seen any Black girl do that. So he said, when she gets back to the States, bring her out to California. And the guy that brought me out to California was a comic by the name of Red Fox.
So cool.
Okay.
I tell you. So cool. And for you, those of you who know him by name, Red Fox, she's talking about Fred Sanford, y'all, from Sanford and Son.
Exactly. And I honestly didn't realize the magnitude of what that meant. Mm-hmm. Because I think Sanford and Son may have been out, I don't know, maybe a year or two, but it was big. Mm-hmm. It was like big, but Red Fox was already big.
Yeah.
As a comedian, he was already huge. And so I went out to California, but my dad got sick. So I had to come back to the East Coast because I didn't want my mother to be by herself in DC. So I came back and I moved to New York. And the same problem I had in California, which I passed over, but you could count the number of comedy clubs in this country at the time.
Wow.
You could count them. There's the Comedy Store, and the Improvs weren't even out yet. Then it was Catch a Rising Star in New York. There was Rodney Dangerfield's club in New York. The only club I knew of in California was the Comedy Store. Wow. So hold off on the part where I went back home. Okay. So I'm in California and I go to this place called the Comedy Store. Mm-hmm. Never been there. Didn't know what to expect because I didn't know nothing. I knew nothing. I had no friends in comedy. I didn't have any girlfriends I could call and talk about. Or I couldn't call nobody on the phone because the only comics that I knew that were big I didn't know them, but I knew of them. Bill Cosby, Jimmy Walker, Richard Pryor, that crew.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a girlfriend I could call up and say, meet me at the Comedy Store.
Yeah, for sure.
So when I got down there, I would get in line and there would be a guy named Jay Leno. We're all new comics now. We're talking the early 70s. Okay.
Wow. Wow, throwback.
Another guy named David Letterman. Oh, maybe I should say the mid 70s, because I think the Comedy Store, I think, opened somewhere around 74, 70. I'll have to look it up again, because I
Uh-huh.
get them mixed up with Saturday Night Live, because Saturday Night Live was yeah, they opened in 74, 75.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they opened in 70s too.
Okay, all right, right there. So my other friend that I would get in line with was a guy named Robin Williams. And Robin would always say, you know what, Sylvia, you're going to be big. You're going to be big. And he was, I loved Robin Williams. He was such a good guy. He was a good guy. So, we were all trying to, make it. So I had to come back home because my dad was dying. And that's when I moved to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to this club called Catch a Rising Star, because just like in California, and I didn't mention this either because I try to skip over some of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
People always say, no, tell the bad stuff too, but I just like to tell the good stuff.
Yeah.
I'll tell the bad stuff one day. I don't know. But anyway, part of the bad stuff was nobody would let me get on stage.
Yeah.
It's like they just didn't.
Right.
I had guys to ask me, why do you even want to do comedy? Just me. So when I got to New York, I found the same problem in New York. They had maybe 3 or 4 more comedy clubs there, but there was one special club that I went to, and I asked the guy who was the host, could I get on stage that night? And he looked and said, I've seen you here several times, and they never let you. You know what? Sure, you can go on the night. And that guy was a guy named Jerry Seinfeld.
So cool.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Wow. That speaks volume of these comics' character,
Okay. And people get mad sometimes. They say, you always talk about Jerry Seinfeld. I say, Jerry Seinfeld was the only one that freely let me come on the stage. In addition to another guy named David Copperfield, not the magician.
Mm-hmm.
He was a comic, and he hosted at Rodney Dangerfield's club.
Oh.
His name was David Copperfield. And I have a really good story that's in my book about me needing to get on Rodney's stage one night when Rodney was there. But I had Sammy Davis Jr.'s people coming to see me because I had. The stories are long, but they're all so wonderful. And
I'm sure.
Golly, so.
And she's talking about jelly beans. Yeah, we're gonna do that little plug at the end too because I want them to get your book.
Oh, thank you. All right. And so now Jelly Beans is a whole different story from my autobiography. My autobiography is entitled Almost There Almost.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't know about Jelly Beans.
Jelly Beans was a story that God gave me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wonderful, wonderful fictionary story that God gave me on stage. It took me 5 years to write my autobiography. It took me less than a year to write Jelly Beans from Heaven.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it yeah.
And what's your autobiography called so I can put it up?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
What's your book called?
The name of it is Almost There Almost.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Uh-huh. And Jelly Beans from Heaven is, I'm so glad you even mentioned it, because while my autobiography is my first my biggest book, Jelly Beans has all of a sudden start flying off the Amazon shelves.
That's awesome.
It's a blessing. It's such a blessing.
Awesome.
I believe it's because, like I said, God gave it to me while I was on stage. It's a story, and it was inspired by my tour with Whitney Houston. I did 23 cities with Whitney, and the Jelly Beans from Heaven story was inspired by her, and it's just amazing. It's a wonderful story, and so I'm in New York, and I'm finally getting into clubs, but Jerry Seinfeld, I'd wait for him to be there to host, and I'd go because I knew he'd let me on. Right. And then David Copperfield would let me on at Rodney Dangerfield's club. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't ask for better. Right. And at the time, again, now, Mr. Copperfield is in Europe, right? In London, I believe, right now. And he's really big over there. He's like a Jerry Seinfeld over there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was a challenging time during those days, as well as very challenging for women,
Yeah.
Okay. As a
Hmm.
matter of fact, Joan Rivers and I were probably on the same road, parallel to each other. So, and while I'm speaking of these amazing giants and especially Joan Rivers, because I loved her with everything I had.
Oh.
My house, the first house I purchased in Washington, D.C., was cat a corner from Mom's Mabley. We were on the same
Oh,
block.
wow.
We lived across. She was the first Black female comic to do stand up, and I'm the first Black female impressionist in the country. And we both lived on the same street. And it's like,
That's so cool.
now we
That's
weren't.
awesome.
She wasn't living when I lived there, but her house. People recognized the house as Mom's Mabley's house, and so
Yeah.
now they say that was Mom's Mabley's house, and that was Sylvia Traymore's house.
That's so cool.
Yay! Okay, that's
You are
good.
seriously Black history. I cannot stop smiling. Oh my gosh, it's awesome. It's
and,
awesome.
and so the New York experience was really just unbelievable because while I'm working between Sunday nights at Rodney Dangerfield's, I think it was Thursday night at Catch a Rising Star, Tuesday nights at some club that I can't remember the name of, but I'd go there every week. It wasn't a comedy club, it was a restaurant, but comedy was just kicking up its heels. New people were coming out, but there weren't that many comedians, unlike what it is today. But
Yeah.
I would always try to go out and see the new people on the scene just to see,
Yeah.
and they didn't just come out to do comedy because their friends or family told them they were funny. They came out because they were funny.
You're like, they were funny.
I mean, when I think of Howie Mandel, I met Howie in 78. He had just started. George Wallace. Oh my God. These guys
Epic.
were like, yes, epic. I remember when Chris Thomas first started. I remember when Tommy Davidson first started. I remember when Dave Chappelle first started. I remember when Martin Lawrence first started. I remember these when they first
amazing
started. And it's like, bam, they're all gone.
Yes.
And one of them, I forgot, I don't know if it was Tommy. One of them asked me, I said, well, Sylvia, how do you feel about, you were right there with all of us and the guys just took off. And how do you feel about that? So I don't feel any kind of way because I think God gave me a rich platform. He gave me a wonderful, wonderful platform. And then they wrote in this book there's a book out called Laugh, Be a Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Comedians Laugh, Be a Lady. And it's all about the women comics who came up and paved the road for the new comics today.
Oh, wow.
And when they told me that I was in the book, and I knew I was going to be in the book because the author had called and said that she'd been told don't do this comedy book without including Sylvia Traymore because she's been out here longer than all of them.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And Leslie, she wrote something in my chapter because I was in the chapter with Gene Stapleton, Cloris Leachman, Mary Tyler Moore. I mean, just the big girls,
Yeah.
the big name women. And I said, well, why would she put me in? I'm nowhere to there. And she said, I called her up. I said, what made you put me in the chapter with those women? And she said, well, Miss Sylvia, you were right there with them. The only difference is they had television and you didn't.
Wow.
And we all know that there weren't that many Black women comedians on TV at the time.
Right.
That's just what it was. It wasn't like
it is what it is. Yeah.
It's just exactly. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And she said to me, Leslie, and I wanted to say, you said what? No, I didn't. I love that. I'm sorry. I keep bringing it up, but I love it.
No, it's awesome. That's fine.
And she said, I believe that a brown-skinned woman in that era was sort of a novice and they didn't know what to do with you.
Wow.
And
that's powerful.
I thought about that
Mm-hmm.
because every time there were a couple of comedy clubs in DC, in my hometown. This is my home now.
Mm-hmm.
There was one called the Comedy Cafe and the other one was called Garvin's. And I'd gone to each one of them. And after my first time, they never let me back on stage. Well, the Comedy Cafe did. They brought me in one night to open for a girl named Elaine Boozler. I don't know if you know who she is. Elaine, she's a comedian she's very famous now, but a lot of times she just has her own clue. She didn't know anything because I didn't get paid the first 10 years I was in comedy.
Wow.
I did get paid when I went to Europe to entertain the American troops.
Right.
And that's it.
Wow.
But, that night when I opened for Elaine Boozler, the club owner was about to pay me. And he said, "What are you drinking?" So I didn't drink. So I said, "Well, I don't drink." He said, "Well, you got to drink something." I said, "I'll take a Diet Coke." I'm sorry, a Coca-Cola, because I wasn't drinking diet at that time. And that was my pay.
Wow.
I got a Coca-Cola for opening for Elaine. And she didn't, it wasn't her job to know. She was just there, just like me, performing and getting paid. So then shortly after that, I didn't care though. I just wanted to be on
stage. I just want to work. I want to be on stage.
Just bring me on.
Yeah, people don't get that. It's just the joy of being on the stage. It's
absolutely.
And sometimes it's like, that's payment enough, it's,
it really was until, years later, I realized that I was probably the only person not really getting any money, but so he brought me back and to open for Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, cool.
I mean, now that I'm able to say all this today, I think back on it and I'm going, when I was just not even in the comedy that good, I opened for Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah. Who was new too. She had 15 minutes of material and that is it.
Really?
15 minutes. Couldn't go no further. Couldn't go any further. And I opened, but now I got paid for that show. The same Coca-Cola and $5.
Wow. That is mind-blowing to me. Wow.
And
that's
it was
crazy.
It was really okay. It was okay then because I was getting stage time.
Yeah.
And the more stage time I got, the more lucrative it became in terms of popularity and people hearing about that I was out here, just locally, but still it was a big deal because then the Washington Post did a story on me and it started kind of growing a little bit.
That's awesome.
And I was like, okay, so I'm in New York and they are they're roasting Muhammad Ali.
Oh, wow.
A heavyweight champion of the world is coming to New York City to the Apollo Theater.
Wow.
He was coming, and I had to be there, Leslie.
Of course.
With no invitation.
You like somehow, some way.
I had to get in that roast. They had to let me in that roast. And I know they probably look at me once I said I wasn't going to say what? So, I'm sorry I keep doing that, but I love it. So I decided I would crash the roast. I was gonna crash the roast.
You're like, I'm going up in there. Muhammad, where you at, Muhammad?
And so I said, I gotta figure out a way to get on that daggone roast because everybody was going to be there, Leslie. Everybody who was in, it was Muhammad Ali, 37 years old, heavyweight champion of the world, talked about by everybody, written about everybody. They had more books written about Muhammad Ali other than one other person. And you know who that person is?
Who?
Jesus Christ.
Stop it. Jesus
Christ is the only person that people have written more books about. Ali is number 2.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's
interesting. That's a fun fact.
Isn't that a great fact? Because it's like when you can put your name in the same line with Jesus Christ, that you that's
right. Like, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
They've written more books about you other than Jesus. Wow.
Exactly.
You think about that's a lot of books.
That's a lot of books. That's a lot.
And so I had to be in that role. So I decided I would do my impression of a woman called Ruth Bussey, who was a star on a show called Laughing.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people today wouldn't know what Laughing is, but if they
my mom and them talk about it all the time.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And she was this little white lady who had this net thing on her head, and this white guy would come over to her and get fresh with her, and she would pop him upside the head. So I said, I'm gonna pop Ali upside the head. I'm doing.
I'm gonna hit Muhammad Ali.
I'm crashing the roast and I'm going. And I had no idea if I did that, it would make me famous. I didn't know that. I didn't even have no clue.
Yeah.
But history was changed. I mean, not history, but the forthcoming history was changed. I get a call from one of the girls I went to Europe with who knew Dick Gregory, who was the producer and director of the Muhammad Ali roast. And Richard Pryor called that day and said he couldn't make it.
Oh, wow.
And she talked him into letting me come to host the roast of Muhammad Ali on NBC.
You go. Woo! Accomplishment. You go.
Now, in the meantime, I'm in Texas. I got to get a flight to DC. Then I got to get to the Apollo, which they sent the limousine, thank goodness, and host a roast. I get there. There's no script.
Oh, my goodness.
There's no script. And everybody was on the show. I mean, ball players, football players, basketball players, you name it, they were on the show.
Wow.
So I had to go to each person. And I think about it today, if I'd had a cell phone back then with a camera,
that would have been what's up.
I see all these people lined up on the roaster. He had Harry Belafonte, Fred Williamson, David, Dick Cavett. I mean, just all kind. LaWanda Page. Oh my God, Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live, who is responsible for me getting a job at Saturday Night Live. It was because of that night.
Look at that paving the way.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
I said, look at you paving the way.
I was just, and you know what? It's amazing because, like today, like you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how much of history is going to record all of what you're doing now.
Right.
I mean, I even said it earlier before we came on live. I go and watch you every day. Every day.
Oh
I want to see what's new. And who knows what they're going to say about Leslie 30 years from now, 40 years from now.
Oh my
They will see
God.
this woman never tired. She went on every day and bought a film. She put something out there every day, and she was the only one that did da. See, when you're making history, this is what I've learned. You don't even know you're making history.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, you guys, I hope you're listening. You guys, most of you are creating history right now. Right now. And Leslie, trust me, they're going to talk about you.
Oh
They're
my
going to talk about you.
God. You are so
30,
awesome.
40 years from now, they're going to talk about you. Watch this.
You are so awesome. Oh my God.
So tell me if when you want to cut in, because see, I can.
No worries. You're doing great. I'm gonna just pull up some of the comments. Let's see. Okay, so hello, Ness, thanks for joining us, Nessia. Michelle says, Sylvia, have you ever done an impersonation of Red?
I have, but I never got a chance to do it for him.
Oh.
And the guy, I didn't know for years that I could do male voices. I did Muhammad Ali in front of Muhammad Ali at the Apollo Theater. And it was, I prayed while I was on stage. I said, God, please let this work, because this is either going to make me or break me. I got to be able to. And it turned out, it was good. He grabbed my hand, as a matter of fact, walked me to the stage. He was so handsome, so built, so big, so just amazing. He was a blessing for me, because first of all, I'd never seen a man like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew God created a mold just for him, because I don't think he's ever created anyone like him again. But he was in all of his just awesomeness. And he came out and grabbed my hand, took me to the front of the stage. And I know the question was, have you ever done an impersonation of Red? I hope I answered it, but I wanted to let you know that, yeah, I've done other guys too.
See, that's so cool.
Yeah. It was amazing.
And then Michelle was backing you up. She said Comedy Store opened in April of 1972.
You know what? I love Michelle, because
she just got your back all the way around.
I did their podcast. Her and June's, well, you know that because
Yeah, that's why June was like, you should get done. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know why I didn't think of it.
Michelle would be, I mean, she's just look at this. Look at
Yeah,
her.
and she said, and don't forget her book, Me, Satan, God, and COVID-19, the shock and personal truth of my experience of it all. Wow.
That's
Michelle.
my third book. I had COVID in 2020.
Oh, okay.
When I tell you I had COVID, it was mixed with pneumonia.
Oh. Yeah, and you know, a lot of people, that's how it hit them. It was crazy.
Oh, it was the worst. It was, that's why I wrote the book. Because I said all four of us were together in the room together. Me, Satan, God, and COVID-19.
God.
All four of us, I was struggling. Thank God for God. Thank God for God. I'm telling you. It was woo.
Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah, because when it's mixed with pneumonia like that, that's the next level.
Yeah,
Let's see. And then okay, so those are all the comments thus far.
okay.
Okay, so you know I'm gonna ask you. You gotta do your whoopee for them. Guys, you have to see her whoopee impression. She's oh my gosh, I'm telling you, so like the first time you did it, you caught me off guard. This was at the LOL GCA.
Oh
And so when
wow.
you did it, I was like, it's like out of body experience, because I'm sitting there like, is she in there?
That is hilarious. Well, you know, when I first learned of Whoopi Goldberg, she was about to hit hit Broadway.
Oh wow!
I think she was in California and she got discovered out there. And I remember people coming and say, "Have you heard of this girl named Whoopi Goldberg?" And I'm like, she must be Jewish with Goldberg, you know.
Right? Yeah.
And then I saw parts of her play where she did the hair thing and she had a unique voice.
Yeah.
I heard her talking and I heard her one day and she was like, "Hey, Whoopi." She was saying, let me just say this. When I first started doing comedy, I had no idea whatsoever I was going to be able to do what I do. So there you have it.
Spot on. It's so spot on. It's mind-blowing.
God,
it literally blows my mind how well you do that. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Yes. And I saw the other day, because I stalk you too on social media. I saw your Tina Turner. I said, look at her. You are sharp as a tack.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was. Tina Turner, the impression of Tina Turner. And I laughed because I saw it when Beyonce did Tina for Tina. And she mentioned something about being out of breath, you know, how she wondered how she could do that. And I loved what I was doing so much. And when I did my Tina Turner impression, I did it 2 or 3 times a night in different clubs as the clubs started opening. And it was the Tina Turner impression that Whitney Houston was impressed with and said, when I finally met her after the show, I did a show for her in DC. And she said, you know what? When I go on the road, I'm going to take you with me. I'm going to take you with me. I'm going to take you with me. Sure enough, even though she opened her tour with a guy, and I don't know if she did because she promised me she was going to take me on the road. Whatever happened, it didn't work out. And she called me and said, can you be in New York tonight?
Amazing.
And I did 23 cities with her. And it was the
gosh.
blessing of a lifetime, but she was in her moment. She was in her
Whitney
power. Yeah.
She was Whitney. Like, I mean,
just finished oh, I'm gonna dance with somebody. That song.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's like instantaneously dancing.
And I have a story of one of my favorite stories I like to tell about Whitney. While we were on tour, this one particular night, they had delivered a dress to her room, and I was like nearby, so I knocked on the door. I forgot all the details as to why I went to her room, but at any rate, she found out it was me. She said, "Come on in," and I went in, and I could hear in the background singing, "Saving all my love for you," and I heard her singing. So I went in, and she said, "What's up, Sylvia?" I said, "I'm just whatever we talked about," and I saw this rack of dresses, Leslie. I mean, the dresses went from one part of the wall halfway across the room, all designer dresses.
And what year was this?
86.
Wow.
1986. And so I looked at the dresses. I said, Whitney, these dresses are beautiful. She said, they're all designer dresses. You can have one. You can have one.
Oh my God.
So I looked at her, she said I could have. She says, as a matter of fact, take a couple. Take all you want.
Oh my goodness. Whitney Houston's dresses. And you like, okay, I'll give me a second.
Now, I'm trying to figure out which Sylvia I want to come out. Do I be the classy Sylvia and just go pick one? Just go on about my business.
Yeah.
But she had to say to me again, help yourself. Take all you want. So then this other Sylvia that grew up 12 blocks from the White House when it wasn't such a good thing came out and said, girl, get as many of them dresses as you can.
How many can I carry?
How many can I carry? So she said, Sylvia, I'm serious. Go, help yourself. And all of a sudden, Leslie, my arm said, you
just pile them on there. You're like, all right, come on. Here we go.
And I said, I can't do it because she's going to look at me and say, she really took 15 dresses.
She really heard what I said.
But I ended up when I thought about it, I said, I got three of Whitney's dresses that day that designers had sent to her. And she kept saying, no, help your look, I can't take them all home.
Wow. So, wow. And you toured with Whitney from 86, like through, and then 23 cities in the year of 86?
Her whole Love Tour. I was on the United States portion of the Love Tour. I think we finished up in August because a lot of her shows were amphitheater shows outside. So we couldn't go into the winter, outside.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
So I did 23 cities and it was quite a journey. It was just so amazing. I mean, that Whitney Houston at that time, she was the greatest singer of her time.
Yeah.
God gave me that.
She will go down in history. Like, come on. Like, there is nobody like Whitney.
Yeah. So she was, for her to take me by the hand and let me, and I wish people knew the Whitney that I knew. Every city that we went into, every single city, you'd see this big, gigantic marquee way up in the air. Tonight, Whitney Houston. And she saw to it that it also said, and Sylvia Traymore Morrison.
Oh, that is so awesome. See, again, cell phone camera phones. Where were they?
Where?
So you could be like, snap, snap. You know what I mean? I mean, come on.
It was amazing.
Way past their time.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle says, Sylvia, is there any advice you could give to anyone wanting to learn how to do impersonations or to get better at doing them?
You know what? That's I can't tell you the number of people that call and ask me, can I teach them how to do impressions?
Oh, like a master's class.
Well, the problem is I don't know how to teach people to do it.
I get you.
It's almost like, because even now, I just can't do an impression of anybody I want to. It's almost like God has to give them to me.
That's
like
amazing.
I just recently started doing Fantasia, Britney Spears, and they have to come to me. I have to hear them. I have to. Now, occasionally, like, I think I can do Leslie Robb because your characteristics are so, like,
a hot mess.
Different. But once in a while, if I go on the stage behind somebody and they have unique characteristics, I can hit them spot on.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how to tell people how to do that.
Gotcha.
So it's almost like if you're born with it, I may be able to help you polish it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I would love to, because that's right. It would be a master class.
Yeah.
I might just make up the class anyway and act like I know how to teach it. No,
you like just to put it out there.
I'm only kidding.
Well, no, but that's actually, like, I like how you said that, because this is something that we talk about as teachers, because I'm not sure if you know, I teach high school. So I teach in Northern Virginia, so like 30 minutes from DC. So yeah, I live
in part of Northern Virginia.
I teach in Woodbridge.
Oh, I know exactly where.
Yeah.
was just down there yesterday.
Oh, that's funny. And I live in Fredericksburg.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Fredericksburg.
yep. That's
I
where
have
I
a
live.
show coming up in Fredericksburg.
Oh, I'm gonna
I'll
need
send you the info. I'll
details.
send it to
I'm
you.
gonna need details.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what it is with teaching, because a lot of times I try to tell teachers, like, incorporate your gifts, incorporate your talents and your passions in your classroom, because once you do that, then it becomes natural to you. Like me and my comedy. And then somebody asked me, well, can you show me how to be comedy in the classroom? I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to make you funny, because like I'll have my kids dying laughing, but I don't know how to tell you to do that. Like,
I can only imagine that you are the best teacher ever. I would be in your classroom. You probably have those kids under control. They love. I can
my
tell.
kids
I
think I
already
am a
know.
hot mess. They're like, Miss Rob, you're not normal. And I'm like, you right. I own it. I own it. They're like, you are not a normal teacher.
Yeah, that is so
Yeah,
funny.
but I agree with you. It's hard to teach them like how to do what you do, because sometimes God gifts us with things, and it's not like, oh, hey, we're conceited or anything like that, but it's just hard to figure out how to shift it. I have no problem sharing it. I just don't know how to do that. So
Look at Michelle. Look at her. Have you ever thought about creating a DVD master? That's why I'm gonna get. You know what? See, Michelle's gonna have me stalking her page.
Legit, Michelle can back up.
She not only asks the best questions, but she also gives. She will fix you. She will have you just okay. She will find it online, answer your question, and fix it for you. So
she helped me a lot when I first got started, because there's a lot of things I just didn't know. Like, and I could literally message her anytime, and she would message me right back. She even now I could still do the same, but she always would respond and hook me up. So
that's awesome.
Michelle Van Dusen, youthebomb.com.
And you know what, Leslie? Yes, Whitney was all.
Yeah, Whitney was all class. Yes, she was.
What I would have done to have friends like you guys back in the day, when it was so lonely. It was so lonely. It was so. And the crazy thing is, I think that God wiped all that emotional loneliness feeling away from me so that I wouldn't give up. I really believe that. Because I didn't have any. It was just by myself. I was on the road by myself. I was just telling somebody who was in the car with me on a road trip the other day, and they said, how is it that you know every single song that comes on the radio or on the DVD or whatever? How do you know them? I said, because all I had was music.
Right.
In the car. I didn't have DVDs and CDs and all that other. In the early days, we didn't have CDs and DVD. We just didn't. You had the radio and you had a record player, and that was it. You could listen to Red Fox albums and Mom's Mabley albums and Nancy Wilson and Ella Fitzgerald, all of those people. But on the road, I just listened to music and I learned everything. So,
and see, people don't understand how like lonely the comedy world can be for female comics, because we're so, and still now it's not, I'm not gonna say it's a rare breed, but it definitely is not as prevalent as the male version of comics nowadays. Like, there are a lot of female comics, but as far as clean female comics are, it's like a little slim pickings.
Now, I do get to do quite a few speaking engagements where a lot of female comics come, and they ask me why, all about me doing clean comedy. Well, it's always been in my mind that if the president of the United States was to ask me to come and do his dinner, or whoever hires that person, you can't go to some of those event types and do what a lot of people do on stage.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, comedy is subjective. It's
of course.
all of that.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
it's like, for me coming up, I knew that I had to have a style. Like,
and it makes us a lot more versatile too. Like,
absolutely.
like we can go anywhere, literally
anywhere,
pop up on anywhere. We don't have to worry about critiquing our material,
right,
or shifting it, or make sure I don't do this, or make sure I don't slip.
Or in front of children may be there. So
exactly,
it's like,
it's literally a one size fits all.
Yep. I like that. One size fits all.
Yeah, one size fits all.
Cool.
Ooh, that's a good show title.
Yeah.
Like, especially for like a family comedy night, one size fits all. Oh, okay, look at that. I'm kind of proud of myself.
Oh, golly, that's
My friend Carolyn says, "Oh yes," she was saying, "Oh yes," in regards to you coming to Fredericksburg because she and I will come together, right, Carolyn?
all right now. I'm pretty sure I think
Yes.
it's from Pittsburgh. I think
Yep,
so.
because both of us are literally right here.
Okay.
June says, "Hey, look at you two ladies. Love you both.
Look
Gotta
at
love
my
June.
June. Yeah, you do. You have to love June. You
Yes.
really have. Whether you want to or when you'll want to, but just even if you
Yeah,
don't.
I don't understand how anybody cannot like June. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Oh, she is.
June bug.
She's
I mean, come
amazing.
on. And Carolyn says, yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
June says, I know Leslie goes above and beyond for her big. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I love my students. Now those are my only babies, Sylvia, because I don't know if you realize, but I can't have children. So
Okay.
like my students literally are my babies. So that's why June is like, yeah, I do go above and beyond probably a little too much because they know they can get Miss Rob to have their back.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly can only imagine you being one of those teachers that the kids just love.
I mean, I ain't gonna be, floating my own boat, but yeah, they do.
That is so hilarious.
Michelle says, "All thanks, ladies." Mwah. June says, "Michelle Van Dusen, they're speaking the truth about you, sis."
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Michelle says, "I'm more like one size fits most." Oh, Michelle, how we love thee. Oh my gosh.
She comes up with these one-liners that
I
are
know.
absolutely hilarious. I will love her name having one L. When she told me the reason why it's only what I dreamed about that line that night. It was so funny.
Because she literally comes out with them like this too.
Easy. They just come
easy.
Out. That's a gift too, That's a gift.
Yes, for sure. Oh yeah.
When you can do it
like that. Oh yeah, it definitely is. Mm-hmm. Now, guys, visit Amazon.com and check out Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison's books. Okay, so the title of her autobiography is Almost There, Almost. Mm-hmm. And then Jelly Beans from Heaven is another book. And then she has another one coming out that Michelle...
it's out. It's out. It's out. It's already out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't even realize it was out yet. Okay. Mm-hmm. And guys, so the other book that's coming, that is out, and it's on Amazon as well?
Yes.
Okay. And that one is Me, Satan, God, and COVID-19, the shock and personal truth of my experience of it all. So, guys, those 3 books are what you want to look for on Amazon. But I honestly, if you're like me and you're like, girl, I don't even know what you just said. Okay. And you're like, hey, I'm not going to remember that. Well, what you could do is, honestly, you can search for the author and you could find it there.
That's true.
So that is so true. You'll be able to find all her books there as well, which is why I love Amazon. I just love Amazon. A lot of times now I think back, like, I don't even know what we did before Amazon and all these other things. It's so weird. Let's just, Carolyn says, is there any place you have dreamed of performing at that you haven't yet?
The one place, well, it's not a place, but I've always dreamed of having a full orchestra behind me. And I do a lot of singing impressions. I was just doing Cher for someone the other night.
Oh, Cher.
Yes, Cher. And they were like, oh my God, that's like, oh, hey, everybody, I just want to know, but anyway, she's like,
you're so good. I love it.
And then I do Dionne Warwick and Diana Ross and the Supremes, Ella Fitzgerald, because I'm also I'm starring in a one-woman play entitled The Return of Jackie Moms Mabley.
Oh, that was going to be my other thing to ask you about, was to mention that. So yes.
So it was actually, we were supposed to open at the Howard Theater in Washington, D.C., but COVID hit. Right. So you know how COVID just wiped everything.
Yeah.
And then when it seemed like it was going to start lifting, we were going to go back to the Howard and then on to the Apollo and then the MGM Grand, all of those other things. But then COVID came back real strong. So now that it's lifted, we're trying to, they have to, those theaters have to honor the contracts they had right when COVID hit. So once they do that, we'll come out. And it's such a wonderful play. I get to honor 8 women who paved the way for me, who I'm trying to pave the way for you guys, so that let me say it how I say it. those women that came before me crawled so that I could walk. I'm walking so you guys can run, and you'll run so that the generation coming behind you can fly.
Wow.
So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That gave me goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you for
Yes.
paving the way. Because
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I know you had mentioned too. I know Monique is really big on giving you your props as well for paving the way for us. Yeah, she talks about that. I've seen her talk about it on a show where she had talked about you, like literally paving the way for us. So like definitely if we don't know, we know. Now we know.
Monique has been like just amazing. She's been an angel. I mean, she goes on these big shows on interviews, and they'll ask her who are her top favorite comedians. I know T.I. and Tiny interviewed her,
Mhm.
and I got all kind of notes. And Monique's on the T.I. and Tiny show talking about you. And then they had all these places out in Vegas where she was doing interviews, and she would mention me and talk about me and tell them how she's wonderful. George
Yeah, she
Wallace as well.
is.
Yeah.
She
So
is.
it's quite a few of them that are coming along. They have a really big event that my contract won't let me talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming up next week.
Oh, cool.
After next week, I'll be able to tell everybody
Yeah,
everything
that'll be
about it. It's a
awesome.
big one. It's wonderful. It's like
And then we'll also stay tuned to your social media to find out information about your one woman shows because I know
yes,
that's gonna be awesome too.
yes. It's the
Yes.
return of Jackie Moms Mabley, written by Andy
Awesome.
Evans. And I don't know if you guys know who Andy Evans is, but I've been knowing him since the 80s, right?
Mhm.
And he wrote this play expressly for me because he
That's
said,
amazing.
with the 8 women that he said, nobody's going to be able to do this like Sylvia. So,
And you can pull it off, I'm sure. You're gonna nail it. I can't wait to see it.
yeah.
Well, we thank you so much for joining us. One more question. They said, Michelle says, one more question. Do you find having wigs, glasses, props helps you to get into a character, or do you use those things to just enhance an impression?
I think for the first 20 years of my 53-year career, I would put on a Tina Turner wig, and a lot of times I'd have on 2 or 3 outfits where I could just take off one outfit and become Tina, take off the next one and become Diana Ross, take off the next one and I wouldn't. That would be it. It would be like I couldn't wear too much because that Tina Turner dress was so tiny and thin. But
Yeah.
I think it all depends. I know I like to use sunshades, little round sunshades for Whoopi Goldberg. I like to use I used to use a Wendy Williams wig. So nowadays it's like I've been doing this for so long that I can go right into it without even having to use any props. And it's like it works so well. So I could go either way.
That's awesome. Yeah, and hey, you just further prove practice makes perfect
Yeah,
for sure. Yes, and that's the thing when a lot of people say, "Well, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that." Literally, if you dedicate the time and skill set necessary to hone in your craft, the better it
absolutely.
is, and the more you grow. She says these are the questions you would answer in a master's class. So let's create one.
Look at this Michelle.
Trip. She is like literally she's like your biggest fan right here. Oh, gotta love Michelle. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you do. Thank you,
Yes.
Michelle. Thank you for that. But let's talk about it. I was
Okay.
going to do a female comedy virtual across the
Oh,
country
cool.
and bring on all the female comics, all nationalities, all everything. And we just have one big gigantic classroom. I'd like for you guys to just sit on that. You, Michelle, June, a couple other people that I've talked to about it. And maybe by the end of June, we can all
Yeah,
get back together and talk about doing
that
that.
would
I
be
would love to
cool
do it. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
You are just such an inspiration. I'm telling you. Oh my gosh. Guys, I'm telling you that literally this has been I think it's been an hour, like literally our hour of Black history in the flesh. Oh my goodness. We're so grateful. And I honestly, if you're up for it next year during our Black History unit, since you're so close, if you wouldn't mind coming down for my Black History program, I'm not gonna lie, I do it up real big at the high school. Legit Black history coming in. But anyway, thank you for joining us. And guys, if you are like, man, I wish my friend could have caught this, or oh, I wish I could hear the beginning because I missed part of it. Well, guys, you can catch the replay at www.lesliesaidwhat.com to watch it, or you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and any other podcast platform. These are just the main ones that I mentioned, but you can look it up and learn more and hear more of Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison's amazing story. So again, Dr. Morrison, thank you so much for coming.
I'm so honored that you had me. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Wait, you said what? What? No. Leslie said what? I love that. That is so perfect for you.
It's perfect. My friend came up with it. Literally, I had put it out when I was starting the show. I said, hey, who wants to help me name my show? And I was like, somebody give me ideas. And my friend, Natalie Akers from high school, she came up with it. And I was, when she said it, it just like, bing. I'm like, that's it. That's it. So, yeah.
Good job, Natalie. Good job.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for having me, Leslie. And I will see you on the internet.
Yes. See ya.
See you, Michelle. Okay.
Bye-bye. Well, guys, that was Dr. Sylvia Traymore Morrison. Like I said, our little Black history in the flesh. Amazing. You guys have seen all the contacts and all the different things that she has mentioned, all the amazing people she's had the pleasure of working with. And yet she took time out to be here. And I could not be more grateful. And also, I can't be more grateful for you guys being here because without you guys, there's no audience. So thank you all for coming as well. Another episode of Leslie Said What is now out.